All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Tech Talk, where we will highlight how Q-Apps empowers meaningful care. Before we get started, let's go over a few housekeeping items. All participants have been muted to maintain the integrity of the webinar discussion today. Please submit all questions to the Q&A box within your participant controls on the bottom of the screen. We'll answer any questions at the end of the webinar, but you can submit at any time. All registrants will receive a webinar recording via email. And we do ask that you fill out our post-webinar survey once you receive it. And now let's meet our panel for today. Sarah?
Hi there, my name is Sarah Demin. I am Director of Product Marketing here at Q-Centrix. Before I came to Q-Centrix, I was a cardiovascular service line director for a large organization. And I have just really enjoyed taking that knowledge and coming to Q-Centrix. I actually spent about 8 years in our client delivery area, and I have now transitioned to product marketing. So very, very excited to be talking to you today about just all the different things that our company has to offer that hopefully is a help to all of you.
Hi, I'm Jen Eberhard. I'm the Senior Consultant for Enterprise Technologies inside Q-Centrix. Prior to my role here, I was the Quality and Process Improvement Manager for the cardiovascular service line at the facility that I left. And prior to that, I was a clinician in the cardiopulmonary space. I am happy to be part of this panel to answer any questions regarding the Q-Apps platform, especially inside the Universal Registries analytics area.
And I am Jennifer Valance. I serve as a clinical services lead, partnering with quality directors all across the country for their data abstraction needs within the core measure and the guidelines space. I've worked in healthcare quality for about 11 years. Prior to shifting into the quality space, I worked as a bedside nurse in med-surg for about 9 years. I'm looking forward to showing you how to utilize the Q-Centrix technology to impact your quality programs today. To kick things off, let's start with what Q-Apps is and why it was built. Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about what Q-Apps is, how it was developed, and the goal of the tools that exist within the platform?
Sure. So having been with Q-Centrix for actually about 11 years now, there's a lot of history that happens in 11 years. And one of the things when I first came to Q-Centrix is that we were absolutely specialty and experts related to all the different vendor tools that are out there to collect regulatory and registry data. And what we found is that there were things that we really liked and things we really didn't. And so we saw it as an opportunity to take the platform that we had developed for our own kind of operational use that allowed us to monitor efficiency, have insights into quality, and expand upon that and look for opportunities to meet needs in the market related to, for instance, the capture and submission aspect of regulatory and registry. So we took all the things that we liked, we left out all the things that we didn't, and we crafted a tool that we felt met the needs of both our needs as well as our partners. Beyond that, it just continued to grow. There's a lot of different pieces now available related to quality insights as well as reporting and analytics. We have covered all the different areas within registry and regulatory, including empowering tools like exception reporting tool within a couple of different registries in our space. So our primary goals were really visibility, transparency, and to meet the needs that we saw in the market. And slowly we have just added all of these different pieces for Q-Apps to now be the platform that it is today.
And that visibility and transparency is a huge piece of Q-Apps, so I'm really glad that you mentioned it. As a clinical services lead, I help partners utilize Q-Apps to empower data-driven decisions that improve the quality of their documentation and care. The data that is available within Q-Apps, especially within the exception reporting tool, provides visibility into trends, which are crucial when it comes to driving process improvements. We can utilize invaluable data insights to improve patient outcomes and decrease mortality, which inevitably leads to increased regulatory compliance. QApps really allows for data centralization and analytics at an enterprise level, providing high-level transparency into your overall measure compliance as an organization. That level of detail is essential when deciding where to focus your resources to have the greatest impact on your process improvement initiatives.
You mentioned enterprise level analytics, which are definitely an integral part of QApps. When a client wants to incorporate enterprise solutions, our product team built the granular functionality inside universal registries. With this simple click of a button, we can navigate between cardiovascular registries, oncology, exception reporting, registry management, and the Q card. Speed is crucial. UReg analytics are updated every 2 hours. Updates are far faster and more reliable than those provided by the registry. The use of preliminary data is critical with the continual changes within healthcare. Understanding the trends of your data prior to the release of public reports is critical in quality and process improvement. The speed of the version changes that happen are pretense to our regular updates to keep up to date with the newest versions, as well as the benchmarks that are updated on a quarterly basis based on the published reports released by the registries. We know that security of the data is critical in today's world. Rest assured that we stand out with security protocols that are above standard, including SOC 2 and high trust compliance certification, as well as a company culture that emphasizes data security, policies, and procedures.
And I think it's important to note that the other side of the data security really, for us, involves data integrity. And so we, of all people, again, having been in this business for so long and being leaders in our space, we understand that what the work that we do is absolutely no good if the data is not quality, if it's not correct, so that it can affect the treatment of the patient in the bed. Your organization can make informed, accurate decisions based on that data. So as a company, we have developed a data integrity culture. And so rather than just kind of narrowing it down to quality or even IRR, I think what you'll find now is a broad process that includes data integrity. So whether that be that an abstractor comes across a very complex coding scenario in which they could use a little backup to make sure that they're following all of the FAQs and most recent communication from the registry, they can reach out to their clinical data lead, and that individual is able to assist them and look over everything with them and kind of come to a collaborative determination on what is the best approach for coding that complex scenario. Additionally, if there's a fallout that we want to validate, if there's, again, you're on a new partner and we want to make sure that our team is at the very highest level of quality that we expect, all of these touches, all of these things are kind of under the umbrella of data integrity. So it's something that we want to be very, very true about and very, very transparent about. So I mentioned earlier that QApps was built to foster transparency in clinical data. And our data integrity process is part of the commitment. There are many, many other ways that we provide visibility into all the different touches that we complete on the behalf of our partners in our data. So we have visibility into all of the data integrity touches, but Jen, I think it would be great, Jen Prevalence, if you want to give us some additional insight into the ERT process specifically.
Yes, thank you very much, Sarah. I'm going to share my screen to show you what the exception reporting tool looks like. So the exception reporting tool, or ERT, as you will often hear it referred to, is our main modality of communication within the core measure get with the guidelines space. It's efficient, intuitive, and a user-friendly tool within the QApps platform that replaces a fallout log. That would be typically within like an Excel spreadsheet. This is part of our standard services. Not only is it capturing an entire conversation for each individual outlier, The ERT also places your data at your fingertips, providing invaluable insights to the performance of your programs as it pertains to reporting measures. So I'd like to highlight some of the functions within the exception reporting tool that are extremely beneficial to your program and process improvement initiatives. When you first log into QApps, you will start off the landing page that is showing you your apps that are available. And what we're going to focus on right now is this exception reporting. I'm going to be showing you a test space that has test data. When you first come into the exception reporting tool, you're going to come to the dashboard. This is where you are going to see all of your outliers reported and communicated to you and your team. Not only are we going to report outliers here, but this is where we would also report, if there's any missing documentation in your record, like a missing EMS report or missing coding summary. This is going to be reported to your team within this space. I'd like to show you what that conversation about a single patient would look like. When you're coming in here to look at your outliers, this is typically what you're going to see. The team is going to mark as an exception whatever element caused the outlier for the specific case. They're going to give you case-related details, highlighting a sepsis case to give you an idea of the type of information that will be present for you to review. We're always going to let you know your severe sepsis presentation time, your criteria, and then, of course, what exactly caused the case to fail for the measure. This is where you'll then be able to go into your EMR and validate the outlier and respond to us. You'll let us know yes or no whether you agree. You could ask questions if you weren't sure about something within the measure. As I stated, this is a communication tool for you to have a discussion back and forth with your Q-Centrix team. Beyond reviewing your outliers and replying or asking questions, there's a lot available to you within the tool as far as reporting goes. So I'd like to highlight this report section within the tool. The first page that the tool is going to come to is going to be your report dashboard. Once you come to your report dashboard, your facility is automatically going to default in that first filter. The next filter is where you can choose your date range. It's going to default to the last 6 months, but if you wanted to view and see how you were doing year to date, you can select those additional months in your drop down. And if you wanted to get rid of any of those months, you could just click the X next to it and it will pull that month out of the filter. So over here in your case details, this is going to give you a rundown of all of the cases that have been abstracted for your facility. You'll have your total cases that were abstracted, how many cases passed, and how many did not pass, giving you your case compliance rate. This is letting you know how often you are passing for the entire measure. Down below, this is giving you a facility level exception detail where, again, it's showing your facility, the case types, how many cases were abstracted, how many passed. If you were to be looking at this at the enterprise level, as we mentioned previously, this is where you could put additional facilities in this first filter, and it's going to give you a broader overview of how you're doing as an enterprise, not looking at each individual facility. You can also filter out to a certain case type. So today I really want to focus on sepsis. I know sepsis is a lot of facilities are really focusing on sepsis right now, especially knowing that that's going to be going to being a value-based purchasing measure in 2024. So if we wanted to look at sepsis cases specifically, we have 5 different case types that encompass sepsis. So here in this parent case type, you can just type in sepsis and it will pull in all 5 of those sepsis case types, so you don't have to select them individually. So again, it's giving you a rundown of your case details. How many sepsis cases have been abstracted for your facility, how many passed, and how many did not pass. So beyond the report dashboard, I'd like to go over the case element summary. When you come to your case element summary, it's going to default to the same filters that you had on the report dashboard that you can see up here. So again, we're going to focus on sepsis. I'd like to highlight this section of the tool because it gives invaluable insights into your quality program at a quick glance. So over here on the left side of the screen, we have fallout by provider. If you were to have your providers built into the tool, this is where you would see a rundown of all of your providers and how often they have a fallout for each one of these elements of severe sepsis. So again, we're in a test environment, so there isn't any data available in here, but I do have an example of what that could look like for you. If you wanted to pull that information into an Excel spreadsheet, you can do so by clicking these 3 dots here and exporting to Excel. So that's what I'm going to show you here, is what that data would look like in an Excel spreadsheet. This is what your data would look like from that section if you had your providers built in. And then you would be able to see, okay, so Dr. G has 20 outliers in this reporting time frame, most often failing for crystalloid fluid administration. It gives a really quick view of where you need to focus your education efforts on to have the greatest impact. Dr. G needs some resources so that they can do a little bit better with the sepsis measures. Maybe I can check in with Dr. A to see what they're using and share those resources with Dr. G. Really helps you to see their performance with the measure overall. On the other side of that is a fallout by location. So as we've talked about before, when we're looking at that enterprise level view, if your enterprise was using this tool for 15, 20 hospitals, you would be able to select all of those in this section. And then you would be able to get the numbers in the fallout location for each hospital. And just like with your provider information, you can pull that into an Excel spreadsheet by clicking on those 3 dots and exporting. An example of what that would look like in an Excel spreadsheet, I have 2 different examples to share with you. This first one is giving you a rundown of all of the outliers for sepsis that you've had in your enterprise. And you're looking at the number of exceptions, so you can easily see, okay, crystalloid fluid administration is where we're having outliers for the most. 161 out of our 564 outliers were related to fluids. Now you know that that is where you have the greatest room for improvement, and that's where you can focus your education efforts. You can also narrow that down to look at it by hospital. So if you're looking at that enterprise view, you are able to see how each one of the hospitals is doing with each of those sepsis elements. And you'll know where to narrow your focus in with each individual facility. Or if you have a facility that is doing exceptionally well with a certain element, that's where you can have that collaboration with them and figure out what kind of resources are you utilizing to do well with this part of the measure. When you're looking at the data in that manner, it is so impactful, right? This is where you know how to focus all of your attention and your resources so that you can truly make the biggest impact, so that you can truly have better patient outcomes, reduce mortality, And once we're focusing on all of that, our compliance measures inevitably come up with it. And then finally, within the tool, here in this exception report detail area, this is where you can come to view your all of your outliers, including comments on those cases. Remember at the top of the demonstration, I mentioned you can see the conversation between your quality department and your Q-Centrix team all within one place, patient by patient. This is where you can do that. When you come into this area, right over here in this section is where you would be able to see all of the comments related to your cases. So the Q-Centrix comment would be there, and then when your team responded, their information would be there, and so on. And just like in all of the other areas that I've previously shown you, this can be exported into an Excel spreadsheet as well by clicking this export button. I will say my largest partner with over 70 hospitals in their system does utilize this platform at the enterprise level. And that view provides measure compliance transparency for all of your facilities, let you know where you have the greatest room for improvement. And again, focusing on those changes with sepsis becoming a value-based purchasing measure in 2024, this really allows you to know where you can focus those efforts to have the greatest impact.
Okay, that's great. I'd like to take some time to show off some of the other tools that are found in Q-Apps. While Jen V was focusing on the exception reporting. Having difficulty sharing my screen right now. Hold on. There are multiple other elements that are found inside of Q-Apps, and she also went into the explanation of how we can utilize this across an enterprise solution with multiple facilities. To demonstrate how that looks, I have to go inside the demo space, which is what we utilize to demonstrate to our partners what is actually taking place across all reports. For instance, here, we can simply type in a patient's last name, do a search. This patient information quickly comes up, and we're able to click on a view merely because we can see where this patient's information is derived inside the abstraction elements. And if we're doing drill downs on any type of information, we're able to then click on these forms to go in and make any corrections if necessary. For the reports layout, you will see over to the side multiple venues that are actually available inside our platform of universal registries. You will see we have all of the NCDR registry metrics available to us for analytics. You also see that exception reporting, oncology, and there's the Q card as well. But this is the demo space, so I'm going to focus on the CAP PCI merely so you can see how multiple facilities can be gauged over the course of just merely clicking buttons. Right now, I'm looking at 3 facilities. And to look at this data from a very high level and go down to the granular level, I can simply click on Division Compare. And from here, I can select whatever metrics I am utilizing inside the NCDR Executive Summary. If you notice, the M4 or M1, those are relevant to what the metric name is inside of NCDR. But at a very quick glance, I'm able to look across all of these facilities, see where help is needed, or do a quick high-level view of where we need to focus our process and quality improvement. From there, if you have physicians who happen to work across multiple venues, I can also select the individual physicians, and we can see how this demo physician, Dr. Cartwright, is doing over the course of 3 facilities where he does well and where he doesn't do so well. From there, we're able to go into the physician scorecards and look at the summary view of Dr. Cartwright. And this is where the really granular detail comes into play when it comes to our metric analysis. Quickly, we have the numerator and denominator that goes into the metric, as well as the patient information that is found at the bottom. If he or whomever has questions on mortalities, because that is the metric that I'm on, we can simply export, just like Jen showed, out to a CSV file where they can take it back to their desk and look at those cases individually to ensure that the data is correct. Also, if you're talking to your physicians and they don't understand the metric and why it is the way it is, we have this little blue tab that comes out with not only the version description from what version it's found in, but it also has the numerator, denominator, and the exclusion of the metric that it's associated with. And this is just one viewpoint of how you can utilize the Q-Apps or Universal Registry inside of Q-Apps. We're also looking at Dr. Cartwright out here on our homepage, where you can simply print it off in a PDF format. If he has a particular issue where he wants to have any information specific to a metric, you can simply sit down with him and go over this individually, or many times what I had happen is my physicians would just circle the metric that they wanted the drill down on, and we would set up a time and go over that particular metric. The key in all of this, like I had mentioned way before, what was it, probably 20 minutes ago, is the fact that the information is updated every 2 hours. So as the information is being abstracted into the abstraction form and our database, our analytics are then updated within 2 hours. As a quality and process improvement manager, this is critical, especially if your facility is associated with a joint commission and you are having to produce scorecards for your physicians for OPPE and FPP, or if your facility is accredited by the ACC, because you are able to have a gauge on your preliminary data prior to the published reports, and you're able to then do a very high-level gap analysis on your information. And if you're really wanting to work on something individual, you can build out in the master patient list simply by selecting these columns. I have very random things selected at this particular moment, but for just a quick overview of how fast this comes together, I'm just going to select the patient information. So that you're able to see how quickly all of this information just formulates itself as I'm clicking on the buttons. And again, as Jen V said in the ERT portion of it, this is also exportable to a CSV file so that your divisions or your sections inside of your facility are able to look at it at this detailed level and start the process improvement across your facility. The other notion that needs to be pointed out is there is a look and feel that happens in every single category. Once you understand one platform, you're going to notice that all the platforms look very similar. So once you understand one, you're able to go in real cadence across all the platforms simply by clicking a button and knowing where you're wanting to utilize this information. For purposes of the QID, I'm going to go over to our testing site so that you can see how this data actually interfaces with each other, especially when you're doing those drill downs on patient information. I mentioned Dr. Cartwright in the first segment of this, but inside here, I'm merely going to show you how this works. Dr. Cartwright, or pretend, because this is demo information, this physician is wanting to see his mortalities or he's wanting to review his information. This QID right here is critical in showcasing what is actually taking place on that abstraction form. Simply by clicking on it, you're able to then go into the abstraction form, and Dr. Cartwright or whomever that has questions concerning this information, you're able to navigate through the entire section of this abstraction form. And if they have questions concerning errors or validation elements of it, you simply click on the validation check mark down here, and you can quickly see where your errors are, where your warnings are, and the information that is needed to be changed. By simply clicking on the button, it takes you straight to the area of the form that needs to be updated. And why this is so important with the up-to-date technology as far as the analytics go, and also in realm to how we can partner with our local, our clients, is the fact that we're able to navigate through this for high-level gap analysis that can not only help multiple facilities, but if you have, as Jen mentioned, one of her partners has 70. If you have 70, just by clicking through all of this information, we would be able to help you in assisting you in that gap analysis so that you can actually implement real change inside your facility.
And I think it's so key. Like we've had such an example of the incredible tools that are available. But I think another reason that Q-Centrix is a leader in this space is because so many of us do come from the hospital space. And just like you, I think we all never lose sight of the fact that the true strength of our organization lies also in our people and our team, and that they are experts and they thrive and find particular pride in their ability to extract very pristine patient data and provide that back to their partners. And the reason for that is, again, most of us have some type of clinical background. And so our heart, I think, always remains slightly at the bedside and with those patients. And we want what we do to matter. And the way that that happens is that we're able to collect that information very, very accurately, understand what the application of that information is. And then those collaborative relationships that we have with our partners just bring life to data for the majority of us. And so I think it's just what makes Q-Centrix different. It's what sets us apart. And we own that, and we love that about our team, that the experts and the clinical data and the platforms, all of it together is what makes a relationship and a partnership so valuable. I think that one of the examples of that is actually demonstrated in with STS ACS. So if you have an open heart surgery patient, your quality metrics are measured in star ratings. We actually had an example of 3 different organizations, and I'm sure there's plenty more, but these particular ones kind of all came to light at the same time, and that their relationship both with our team as well as their utilization of our tech actually allowed them to affect their star ratings. Star ratings are not easily affected, and sometimes it takes so much time. But it was just a great example to see through the 3 different organizations. They all picked kind of similar projects that they wanted to focus on. So prolonged ventilation was a theme, as well as pre-op beta blockers and discharge medications. So through collaboration with our team, as well as utilizing the analytics that you just saw demonstrated, they were able to kind of talk again to our experts and say, okay, what is the major issue that you're seeing within these medications? Sometimes it was as easy as a documentation change for the physicians, an education opportunity to be able to say, hey, it was completely appropriate that this patient didn't need, should have been an exception to this requirement, but you have to document it a certain way. And for another one, it was the best practice kind of recommendation that came from our team to alter a particular order set in a certain way. And so throughout these collaborative partnerships with team and the power of our analytics, they were able to improve their star ratings across all those 3 facilities. So just a super cool thing that we just feel like warrants a celebration and ownership. That it's that full package that really makes us a powerful collaborator. I think it's important as well, like we want to talk about, we're just talking about the human aspect of clinical data management, but in that, how does our company feel and how do we kind of view AI? I think that our expertise has the ability to demystify AI, right? Because again, we understand and value the place of a clinical mind in this process. So I don't think that AI is going to ever get to the point that it can understand all of the nuances that patient brought to the table when they walked through your facility doors and all the different, many different things that happen to them throughout this day in your organization. They're also not going to be able to capture maybe all of the split-second decisions and critical thinking that was involved in the care of that patient as you're determining within about a split second what treatment pathway needs to be applied to that patient in their clinical situation so that they have a good outcome, so that they can walk out of those doors and live their life. And so we feel like AI is a powerful tool, and we feel like our clinical experts is a great way to kind of cross that bridge between AI and the tools that it can bring to the table, but never losing sight of the value of the role that the clinician plays at both the bedside and then within the extraction of that data for the purposes of registry. So I think there's a couple of other roles that we want to highlight. I've really focused on the abstractor role, but I would love to turn it back over to Jen E. and have her kind of share a little bit more about the dedicated advisor role.
As I was going through the demonstration of all of the analytics, it's a little bit overwhelming to think about you're brand new or you've been utilizing this type of technology for just a very short period of time. And how do you capture and how do you grasp onto all of that? That's where the dedicated advisor role comes into play. They eliminate the learning curve. The time and effort that it is required to master something new or complex, like our platform, often results in unexpected expense to your organization, which we are very aware of. Q-Centrix uniquely eliminates that learning curve cost by offering a seasoned subject matter expert to guide the enterprise and facility level partnership through their optimal experience and outcomes. Each health system, each one of our clients, they partner with a dedicated advisor. And many times, often not, they pull me in to walk alongside you. So when you think about all of the facilities and clients that we have, the dedicated advisors, the subject matter experts, whether it's a platform or if it's in the CSL venue that Gen V will touch on, the amount of experience that comes into answering your questions is thought out intentionally so that we can optimize not only your success, but we are very patient and cognizant of your time.
And working along with your dedicated advisor, you typically will have a quality team available to you to help as well. We truly view ourselves as an extension of your quality department, and you have a team of not just data abstractors, but true subject matter experts. And as a part of that quality team, you have a clinical data lead, or CDL as you'll hear us refer to them, The CDLs are the subject matter experts overseeing the data integrity and the day-to-day operations. They're supporting those measure level questions from partners and from our abstractors. You also have your clinical services lead, which is or referred to as CSO. That is your primary partner contact that's going to provide ongoing communication regarding abstraction status, submission deadlines. We'll communicate any trends we might be seeing within your records, anything that we think that you might find value in. We'll be communicating with that with you on a regular basis. And of course, your CDL and CSL work collaboratively to deliver high quality data abstraction across all of our projects.
So I think it's been a great discussion today. We've covered a lot of ground, and we want to take this opportunity with the time that we have left to talk through some Q&A. And I think we have a couple of questions waiting. So Gen E and then Gen V, just depending, feel free to jump in on this one. Who has access to Q-Apps, and how do I access Q-Apps?
As we've talked through all of this, it comes to collaboration. So however your facility decides or whom or what is going to have access to, the sky's the limit. Your CMO, the quality director, your abstractor, whomever you want, clear down to the physician engagement, if they really want to look at their data, all can have access to it. How do you get access to it? There's a couple ways, but primarily I'm going to go back to the dedicated advisor, because we work in a collaboration with your facility to ensure that there is really no waste of time. You don't have to worry about those simple details. Simply by emailing them, contacting them, they will set up with support the viable options and or inside your account to ensure that everyone inside your facility that you deem necessary to have access will be provided to.
And to add to that, we also will then set up time to do a tutorial with anybody who is provisioned access on your team, so that they know how to utilize the tool and get the most out of it.
And let me clarify, that is, we charge for each access, or is it's free? So clarifying that, just for, I asked that question for myself, it's free. It's a part of our commitment and transparency to our partners. If you think someone should have insights, they have that, and it is at no additional cost to your facility. We don't charge you an additional amount for the reporting. We don't charge you an additional amount for the access to those insights. We want you to partner with us, and we believe in quality and the power of this data to that extent. So I think here's another question that came through. Are all parts of Q-Apps available to all Q-Centrix partners? So this is actually a great question. The parts that are available to all of our partners are going to be related more to the insights into our quality. So that data integrity piece that we discussed earlier, all the different touches that we have directed on, to your cases and the work that you've contracted with us to complete, that is available to all of our partners. If you have, there's also something called a case upload tool that allows you insights into our workflow and of the cases that you have sent to us for completion, how many of those are complete, what's in process, how many left to be done, etc. So those insights are available to every single person. Beyond that, it depends on what you have partnered with us to complete. So if you are utilizing us for abstraction, you will have insights into that. If you're utilizing our tech, as we highlighted today, if that's for CV or some others, then you're going to have reporting capabilities. If you're utilizing us for core measure and regulatory services, then you have insights into the exception reporting tool. So there's just all these different pieces within Q-Apps that, depending on the level of partnership that you have with us, you will have that insight. So if you're looking at your access to Q-Apps and you're like, man, I wish I had something that we talked about today, we definitely want to hear from you about that and explore a partnership further with you. All right, so here's another one. And it is, do you think automation and AI will ever replace people? So since I talked about this a little earlier, Jen E, why don't you maybe add to anything that I didn't cover earlier in this?
To basically come off of that question, first, you need to understand that we value, not only as a clinician myself, but the majority of us are clinicians that now work inside of Q-Centrix. So we truly honor, and we really know without any ado that the clinician at the end of the data can never be replaced, because there's finite details that, yes, automation would help us, integration helps us, interfacing helps us. But at the end of the day, the clinician is the one who actually understands the data that's being translated into that metric. And the clinician is the one who can ultimately answer the questions that are posed by those fallouts. Simply AI in that sense cannot replace that portion of it, which is why I will always say it is an aid. It's not a replacement.
Sounds good. So I think that we might have addressed the questions that have come through. I'm going to check again very quickly. So if you have a question and you were thinking about it, go ahead and send it through. But I think that might be it. So it was a pleasure to speak to all of you today. And again, thank you so much for joining us and spending your time. We know it's quite precious. And if you don't mind, please take our quick survey at the end. Again, we're a data and clinician quality company. And so we want to hear your input on whether this was helpful for you, what would make it more helpful, things that we can change. And again, we just wish you all a very good day, and thank you again for your time.